Hello, it's Amanda. Quick schedule reminder. This is a free full-length conversation pit instead of a regular episode because we felt kind of weird about releasing episodes so close to the end of the campaign on Christmas Eve and then New Year's Eve. So we have this for you instead, which, by the way, you can listen to in full right here or watch the video of this convo pit for free on our Patreon, patreon.com/jointhepartypod. Now, next week, you're going to get another all-new conversation pit on New Year's Eve, followed by brand new episodes of Campaign 3 weekly starting January 7th, 2025. No after party, no breaks, not a single bad Tuesday until we hit the end of the campaign. Then we're going to do a jumbo-sized after party answering all of your questions, so keep them coming on social media and in Discord and on the comments of our Patreon posts. And don't worry, as usual, we're going to have some fun with one-shots before we begin our next adventure once Campaign 3 is concluded. Sounds good? All right, on with the convo pit. Was the night before Kirmbus, and all through the pod, not a question was stirring. I gave it a nod.
Huh?
I said, little question, it's time to come cuddle. In the conversation pit, we're going to be one big puddle. Of Join the Party hosts. Hello.
Yay.
It's the conversation pit.
Holy shit. Amanda, did you just make that up or did you write that?
Raw dogging it, babe. Just right off the dome.
Holy shit, well done.
You know I'm bad at rhyming because you said cuddle. I'm like, how is she going to come back from this?
Welcome, everybody. This is a special conversation pit because this year, on account of Tuesdays, we have both Kirmbus Eve and New Year's Eve as Tuesdays that you're probably doing things. Eric and I are like getting limbered up to go have a feast of the seven fishes at a local diner.
Okay.
And then
I'm going to be stretching for at least 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. We have to get ready for it. And then tomorrow we have movies to see. We have Chinese food to eat. Julia and Brandon have family to spend time with. There's so much going on. And so we thought, why not bring you all an unlocked public convo pit? My favorite thing to do for our patrons over on patreon.com/jointhepartypod, in addition to a video that everybody can watch for free, one of our little gifts to you.
The ghost of Christmas past came to us and said, hey,
Don't
let
be
everyone
stingy.
feel like they're $10 patrons. So you can check out the video of us doing this for free video over at patreon.com/jointhepartypod. Link always in the episode description.
Yeah,
That's a good three's a crowd or whatever we called it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the
Past, present, and future.
Oh, I
Present
like
feature.
that.
But
Julia, which
specifically-
of us is the ghost of Christmas present? Which of us is the ghost of Christmas past? And which of us is the ghost of Christmas future?
But
Am I
specifically
allowed-
the ones from the Muppet movie.
Okay, am I allowed
course.
to not elaborate whatsoever?
Yes.
Okay, Eric is past, Amanda is present, Brandon is future.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take
Amanda
it.
does resemble one of my coworkers who died recently
Fair.
from negligence.
Now, speaking of ill portents, okay, and bad news, Julia, when we got on the call today to like figure out when we're recording this about, a week and change in the past for you listeners. Julia said, oh, that's the day I dreamed about. Now, Julia, tell me what you mean.
I'm not exactly sure what past Julia meant by this, but in my calendar,
It's like little modern magic once more.
as an all-day event on December 19th, I have an event that just says on my phone, you had a dream about this day.
What the fuck?
I think this is extra scary because we were going to record something on that Thursday, but we're like, no, Brandon has to get on a flight. We're busy. We got to shore up the rest of our stuff before the end of the year. So now Julia's day is free.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is when you're going to walk into a wardrobe and never come back.
It's very possible. I do have a hair appointment the next day, so I'm a little worried about that, but like, who knows?
Julia,
Is
imagine
my
you go to
plane
your
going
hair
down? Is my plane going
I
down?
think so.
Julia, imagine you go to a hair appointment and you're like 10 years older.
Yes.
And you've been Queen of Narnia for 5 years.
Exactly. Really?
Julia was on the Dawn Treader, and now she needs a haircut.
Yeah.
I will look like the White Witch if I come back 10 years later without having
Yeah.
done my hair, though.
And you're only like the very fringes will be blue, and then they'll be like, whoa.
Oh, what happened to her?
I want you all to know that if you come to me with a Turkish delight, I will think something's terrible has happened to you. I that's the universal sign that I have been magically whisked away.
Fair.
Completely agree. Now, folks, just because it is Erev Krampus or Krampus Eve, depending on how you refer to it, doesn't mean that we are not sort of attending to our conversation pit beat. Okay, it's important that we stay up to date on all the latest innovations in conversation pits. So this was a comment from Sneaky Slots, who said, "I went to a Sabrina Carpenter concert, and y'all, she had a conversation pit on stage. Made me think of our Join the Party hosts." Julia, comment.
I went to the Sabrina Carpenter concert for my birthday this year. It was a joint gift between two of my friends and my husband. And she did, in fact, have a conversation pit that was shaped like a heart. But not only was it a conversation pit, because she did like a whole song, actually my favorite song of the show, in the conversation pit, but it also not only sank into the ground to create a conversation pit, it also raised her up at certain points of the concert. So
Yeah.
I like a conversation pit that can do more, personally.
It's like a conversation pedestal.
That begs a question of transitions. If you were to raise the conversation pit out of its pit, is it a conversation hill?
I think Amanda, I brought up a good point of the conversation pedestal.
Conversation
Brandon.
pedestal, yeah, for sure.
Pedestal, pillar, platform.
Because hill requires there to be sloping edges to bring us to the top. I think a column or a pedestal is the correct term for that conversation. No longer pit, now raised.
It's like when you jump up on a piano bench to make an announcement, or like on a counter or a chair.
Mm-hmm.
I said piano bench for all of our rich friends out there.
Yes, of course, naturally.
My question, I guess it's like, if it's a conversation pit when it's below ground, if it's on ground, it's just a couch.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like Pokemon evolutions here. What does it go once it goes above the ground? What does it evolve into?
That's just a stage, Brandon.
Yeah.
Basically.
Stage.
Yeah.
Basically a
A
stage.
conversation raised pedestal, that's a stage, my man. I also have these curtains that I use to tell people when they can come onto the conversation pit or not.
Oh.
Very helpful. And a little hook, you can yoink them off if they're not doing a good job.
Yeah, exactly. I have a proscenium arch in my house. I'm in Architectural Digest.
That makes sense. It checks out.
It does check out.
The whole time I was thinking about how if we could split Sabrina Carpenter up into 4 distinct parts for all of us. Like Julia could be small, Brandon could do the music, Amanda, I could be incredibly perverted. And I had one for Amanda and I forgot about it while
Left
thinking about
arm.
the stage.
I was going to say, like, clever lyrics. Is
Oh, yeah,
Amanda?
she rhymes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was rhyming,
thanks.
yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. That's great. I really thought for Brandon you were going to say blonde. And I mean, he's also a musician, but that's where my mind went at first.
I mean, definitely bald. Like, we're both bald, so it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sabrina Carpenter notoriously falls.
Well, no, Sabrina Carpenter notoriously wears a wig.
Oh, she does?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hotly debated, but people are pretty sure it's a wig on stage.
But
I was
is
just
this
making
like
a
Stevie
joke.
Wonder is this like Stevie Wonder being blind?
oh no.
Whoa.
What? Hey,
No,
what?
People think that's a conspiracy theory,
Oh.
but they're
okay.
idiots and wrong.
I'm going to ask a question that I probably already know the answer to, but did anyone else watch Sabrina Carpenter's Christmas special?
You know.
Yeah,
the
no,
answer's
that's what I thought the answer was going to be. It's pretty funny. Pretty funny.
I'm sure it's good.
Yeah.
I think she is very talented. And, she was an actress when she was a kid. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is pretty cool.
She's very funny and talented.
Last
Anyway,
night I
I'm a
was-
Sabrina Carpenter stan, in case anyone didn't know that.
Last night I was watching football. And then afterwards, it was like 60 minutes talking about Damascus. But then after that, it was a night with Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're just giving nights out to whoever we want, huh?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
What a whiplash of programming.
It's really
She's
wild.
levitating. Who cares?
Seriously. Damn.
Damn.
Here are the new rules for Damascus. All right.
Alrighty. We have a question in from Emily, who wants to know what your favorite winter holiday tradition is. What a good time to answer that, Emily.
Yeah.
I would love to go first because I've been looking forward to this for weeks, especially because my dad tried to schedule something on this day, and I said, no, I have plans already. A new thing that I've been doing as a Jewish counterpart to the Irish Catholic McLoughlins is telling all of them that you can do whatever you want around Christmas because no one's around. Mm-hmm. The newest thing I've been doing for the last few years is with Amanda's dad and with his girlfriend, Noreen, who is really lovely and generous, is that I've been saying, hey, you guys love going to steak places, to steakhouses in New York City. You know what a great time to go to a steakhouse that's really busy is? Right before Kermbus. Mm-hmm. So now 2 days before Christmas, around that time, we've been going to steak places lately, and we're going to very famous steak place Peter Luger's on the 21st. My dad was like, hey, well, sometimes my dad shows up and is just like, hey, we're having dinner. And it was really funny to be like, actually, I'm busy.
You're like, I can't.
Sorry, you should have asked me instead of just telling me we have dinner. But I've been looking forward to this so much. I know Peter Luger's, like, for those of you, it's like a very famous steak place in New York City, but in the way that, like, nothing's changed in there for 100 years.
No, the food is also very good.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon, I spent a lot of time on New York City food Reddit with people. This is the main thing they complain about and debate, if Peter Luger has good food or not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm outside of Reddit, and I'm here to say that it is good.
When was the last time you went?
Probably it's been years, but
okay. I've heard that it has gone downhill, but I also have never been there, so I cannot be the person to make that decision or judgment.
I asked my brother too, who's like very plugged into restaurant stuff in New York City, that it's like some people still go like once a quarter forever and will do it. Mm-hmm. People who are like going for the first time or be like, oh, I like other steak places more. But it's a hotly debated thing of if institutions in New York City can stay, Nothing Gold can stay. Pony Boy, I would like a really big steak. So I'm very excited about it, and this is my new favorite winter tradition.
Hell yeah.
I love that.
I love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
So cute.
Brandon, I forgot what the question was, and I was like, what steakhouse do I like?
There you go. I mean, you can answer that too. That's fine.
And Sons is really good in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. That was the first one. That was the first one we went with them because we're like,
second, I think.
Don't worry, we know a really cool place. It's a Steakeasy, which is something that your daughter's husband would say to you. As I can imagine Amanda's dad was dealing with.
Yeah.
Here's a not a hot take, but a take that like it's like a lukewarm take. It's like a Peter lukewarm take.
Okay.
It's like steak restaurants, like and older people restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
They get a bad rap because they keep their tradition around, but like, and the aesthetics of them make you not want to necessarily go there. But we went to this place in where were we? Zurich. That was like, Zurich's not a crazy good food city, but it was one of those places where like Laura's dad went when he traveled there and blah blah blah. That older people, like, it's like you have to have a jacket kind of thing. It's stuffy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the food was fucking great.
Yeah.
I ate, like, I felt like I was in fucking Mar-a-Lago because of all the trappings, but like the food was very good. So like, yeah, I think people on Reddit are maybe steak pilled for modern nice places.
I 100% agree with that. And like you know that the service is going to be incredible. You know that stuff's all going to come out exactly the way that it's supposed to, and hot, and it's going to come out hot. As someone who lives in Brooklyn and has various friends in various places in Brooklyn, I love to go to a new coffee shop that is so affirming that I can bring my dog and I can be whatever type of person I am, and they're going to accept me, and I'm going to have a good time there, and it's going to feel nice. But I beg them to be good at business one of these days.
But they also have to make good coffee.
It's like, hey, can you give me a coffee and a soup in more than 30 minutes? Is that good
Not
for
possible.
you? You're going to charge me $22. The least you could do is bring it out to me in less than 30 minutes.
I know, like, truly, I'm so glad we're all vibing. But this claims to be an establishment where I pay for goods or services. So
Eric
please,
liked that one.
please.
Julia, that's something I would say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there you go. I heard
You
it.
claim to be an establishment, sir.
I would love to exchange my money for goods and services. Can that happen? I would love that.
This could just be a storefront that you rent to hang out with your boys, gender inclusive. I think that's wonderful. But don't sell coffee if that's what you do. There is a place in our neighborhood. I won't disclose exactly the block, but there is a place that I think is just like a private storefront for many people to go in together on renting space for playing Warhammer.
Like miniature games. I think
Okay.
that's what it is.
Minis.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Kind of fun.
It is really cool. Like everyone has like a key fob. There's like 8 or 10 tables inside. It's like very deep. And so they have no set hours except occasionally like when one of us is walking to home or to the office, we'll be like, oh, there's 40 people in the Warhammer place. And I think that's great. But Warhammer place does not claim to like be selling me an avocado toast.
Yeah. Is there like a business name outside of the like storefront?
Yeah.
It's just
Oh.
like the club with like a noun in there.
That's
So
very
it's-
funny.
It is tight as hell.
If
Yeah.
I knew anything about these minis games, I would go in there because I'm like, oh, yeah,
Tell
for
me
sure.
your thing.
But it's more fun keeping it a mystery right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Hey, what's everyone else's wintertime traditions?
Oh, yeah, we're not talking about steak. Got it.
Hey, what's everyone's favorite steak time traditions?
Well, Julia, you brought up one of yours, which has become a tradition of Jake making homemade eggnog.
Yes, which he did the other day as a surprise. I came out and I was like, hey, you said you were making dinner. He's like, there's eggnog. I'm like, okay, I take back everything. I want eggnog. And it was
After
very
we
good.
had talked about it on the stream. On the
Which was
Discord
so
stream.
funny because
Yeah.
he had like gone to the store already to get the ingredients and I just hadn't seen him yet because he had arrived home while we were on the stream and it was just very funny.
I love that.
Now,
That's great.
did you dream that, Julia? Was
No,
that
I
part
didn't
of your
dream that one. Didn't
I'm legitimately scared about something that's going to happen on the 19th.
we'll see what happens. It might be a great day. It might be a terrible day. Who fucking knows?
I really don't want it to be a terrible day.
Past Julia really kind of kept it vague. Who can say?
Oh, dang, I scheduled the purge on that day.
Ah.
Dang.
Oh.
Dang.
Can you push it back maybe like 20 minutes?
It's like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think one of my other favorite like winter traditions is Jake and I will put on a bad Christmas movie, usually a Hallmark or like Netflix trying to do a Hallmark Christmas movie. But sometimes it's like, Moonstruck or, something that we associate with winter that isn't necessarily like a Christmas movie. And then we make cookies. And that's like one of my favorite winter traditions is Jake and I make the thumbprint butter cookies filled with either apricot or raspberry jam, and that is like the cookie that we make, and we experiment, but that's the every year cookie that we make, and they're already gone. We made them out last weekend. They're already gone.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's very cute. I don't have a ton of like set in stone traditions. The ones that are definitely set in stone with my family are like every year we always have there's a local bakery called Casalinda Bakery, I think it's called, around where I'm from. And I didn't dox myself. We live far away from it, so it's fine. But they make a cinnamon roll. They call it a coffee cake. They call it a coffee cake.
Okay.
But it's a cinnamon roll, but it's in the shape of a Christmas tree.
Oh,
Cool.
And they do like, so it's a Christmas tree with like frosting or whatever you would call it.
wow.
And then they have like sprinkles and little like candied cherries.
Mm.
They're not like maraschino, but it's hard to describe, but they're very good. So we always have that. And so we sort of always have like Christmas brunch after opening presents.
Nice.
Cute.
And then we have Christmas Eve brunch at my dad's. A lot of breakfast foods for some reason. I don't know why, but no hard traditions. Normal Christmas stuff like stockings and stuff. But things change.
Brandon, where does Santa come in Texas? Like, does he need to announce himself with a barrier? Does Santa have conceal and carry?
Mhm.
Now, well, conceal and carry, yes, for the gifts. Eric, I know you don't celebrate Christmas, so I don't want to spoil the mystery, the mystique for you. But
Okay.
Mhm.
Santa's not real.
Brandon, children listen to this podcast.
Brandon, that's really rude for you to lie to me on this podcast. That's pretty rude.
I just thought it was funny that all Jewish people don't know Santa isn't real.
Jewish
that
kids...
would be the only reason why you guys care about this shit so much. Is if a magical man was looking out for you, keeping track of your morals, and then dropped free presents down on you.
Pretty sick.
Looking back, I have a lot of respect for all the Jewish kids who didn't ruin the secret for all their Christian classmates growing up.
Yeah.
It's just not something that came up.
Yeah.
Didn't know it was something I needed to say or not say.
Yeah.
Like, LOL. Sounds neat. I'm gonna sit on my hands for 2 weeks waiting for school to start again.
My biggest question, I don't remember exactly what my sister does, but at least they do gifts from them, like my sister and my brother-in-law, and also Santa, I want to say. It's possible that they don't do Santa, or they say it's Santa, but then they say it's from them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they keep it a secret, my gift to myself for the next few years is how long Emma is gonna keep the secret to the twins.
So good.
Yeah, those are fresh babies too. Emma has a lot of time until those babies are like, "What do you mean?
What do you mean?"
Now, Brandon, are you gonna prank your siblings back for all of the time that they spent pranking you by looking in those babies' eyes and telling them there's no Santa as quickly as possible?
That's a great idea.
Prank.
That's a great idea. Nope, they're too young to remember. You should do it now.
See, my problem is this is where my only child energy comes in. I'm like, oh no, that's me. And you guys are like, perfect.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Santa has that thing on him. So that's why he showed up and dropped us the present.
My favorite winter holiday tradition is definitely making latkes. It was one of the first.
Yes, let's go.
The first fusions of Eric's and my households and traditions was using my grandma's old KitchenAid mixer, a meat grinder attachment that Eric's dad got us for Hanukkah one year, and chipping the potatoes. So they go through a meat grinder and they come out like chipped coleslaw, if that's ever a thing that you've had. They're in little snowflakes of potato, which means you don't have to use a leavening agent like baking powder, which we learned the hard way because we did. And then we were like, why are these so fluffy? They're like blintzes. But no, it's amazing and it's so much fun, and it takes a lot of the annoying grating and losing your knuckle skin out of latke making, and I love doing it.
So are they not shredded when you do it that way?
No, they're not shredded. But imagine you were making your own ground beef or ground pork.
Yeah.
And you freeze, you know how you freeze it and you keep everything cold as possible. You chop your onions and potatoes up, and then you try to get them as cold as possible, and then you put it through the grinder.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes out. I've been describing it almost like corned beef hash.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of texture, and it's tight as hell.
That sounds good. Yeah. Almost like a mix between a latke, like a traditional latke, and like a potato pancake situation.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what you're going for. I think that the more and more people have been making food content of latkes, you see a lot more shredded ones. I never remembered my grandma's being shreddy, although she obviously just used a box grater. It was whatever. But there's something about getting it all mixed together. And she also used matzo meal and a leavening agent to, fluff the whole thing up. So I'm feeling really good about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah.
And then every year we've experimented with toppings. I've been working on my dairy tolerance, not to brag. So this year I want to try some creme fraiche. I think that'd be really good.
We're going to get lox, and we're going to get caviar this year.
Yo.
We're going to.
That's our present to each other is to have some very good caviar with our latkes.
That's the whole fish.
There is apparently a very popular caviar distributor in Long Island City, in a neighborhood next to Greenpoint, and they have salespeople there. So we're gonna go, and they're gonna just show us how to buy caviar. It's gonna be awesome.
That's cool.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right?
Please take like a secret shopper video and let me see what goes on.
Ooh, it'd be really
make
fun.
a TikTok of it, actually.
Just thought. They have caviar tastings there, classes you can take where you just do it. And I almost wanted to do it, but then we were going to PAX U instead, and I'm like, nuts. But I'm so excited to go. I called once to be like, hey, can I just come and do it? And they're like, yes, we're an establishment.
You can trade us money for goods and services.
Yeah, that's what they said on the phone. And again, the most Queens woman you've you've ever heard in your entire life describing it. I'm like, I'm going to ask you a weird question. Can I just come in and buy things? And she's like, yes.
Rachel, like an appointment.
Well, I didn't know if it was like wholesale plus only like the classes or whatever. If I could just like show up, because they're only open 9 to 5 too. Like they're only open during business hours. It is, so they ostensibly have people who are allowed to come in, but you need to be like not at your job to do it or have non-traditional working hours.
I totally get it. There's you guys might have one. I forget where they're everywhere, but I forget where exactly they were in the Northeast. But a store called Restaurant Depot, I think it is.
Yeah.
And you can't shop there unless you have a at least online and
no, in person too, Brandon.
You can't just walk in.
Well, hold on. This is exactly my point. I haven't tried it yet, but you're supposed to have a business license, right? You're supposed to have a commercial distributor license or whatever in order to shop there. Apparently, I've read that they definitely have done it. I'm unsure if they have continued to do it, but you can go there in person and say, can I have a day guest pass? And they say yes, and you can go shopping.
Huge for Brandon's.
I used to have to do Restaurant Depot runs when I worked for the cheese shop that I worked for.
Cool.
And I think they had like almost like a Costco card or something like that that you had to show upon entering, which is the only reason I was like, I don't think you can just walk in there. But
no,
maybe I just didn't know you had to ask for the guest pass.
Yeah, I absolutely, that's all correct. And that's why I was like my treasure find about that. And they definitely did it during 2020. I don't know if it was a thing beforehand or if they started it in COVID and they continued it.
Got it.
It's unclear. But yeah.
Well, a new thing they're doing next year, I saw this on Eater, is that whenever you buy burrata, you can find a golden ticket at the bottom. And then they'll let you into Restaurant Depot.
God,
so
I wish.
moist.
Do I become the owner of Restaurant Depot if I outlast the other 4 children?
Yeah, only if you're pure of heart.
Of course.
And you stop eating the everlasting spider and
Spider?
You don't like the thing? I couldn't think of the thing.
Sorry.
The frying,
I was like,
frying
what?
thing.
The everlasting Bon Marie. Is that better?
Yeah.
That's upset.
Shit, is Squid Games just a dark Willy Wonka?
Yes.
Fuck, man. Fuck.
I love season 2 of Willy Wonka.
Hello, everybody. It's Amanda. Thank you so much for giving us the time to take a vacation. I am being brought to you right now by the electric blanket that I am no doubt curled up under. I love setting 3 out of 4. That's my favorite. Thank you and welcome to our newest paid supporters on Patreon. If that's you and you've joined in the last week, we so appreciate you and we'll name and thank you in January since the aforementioned blanket is preventing me from being here with you in real time. We're only able to make the show and to take vacation while supporting ourselves through art. What? Because of your support on Patreon. So if you want to show your love and get goodies like Discord access, party planning, like this convo pit, we post stuff like this all the time. We post another entire bi-weekly podcast called Party Planning on Patreon only, and you can listen to it or watch the video, get ad-free episodes, and so much more at patreon.com/jointhepartypod. There is so much happening here at Multitude, and even though we are doing our best to take some vacations, we're also bringing you hot content and not skipping any weeks because you rely on us to help get through your life. And so I would love if you checked out Spirits, the history and comedy podcast I host with Julia Schifini, who you may have heard of before. Every week, Julia brings me a new story from somewhere around the world, and sometimes that's the inspiration behind franchises like Lord of the Rings and Wonder Woman. Sometimes it's, I don't know, a review of Netflix's Hot Frosty, and sometimes it's modern urban legends. You can listen anywhere in the 415 plus episodes we've released over the last 8 years at spiritspodcast.com or search for Spirits where you download your podcasts. And finally, we are sponsored this week by Catan, which is not just an incredible board game to get for your friends and relatives or to bring with you on vacation, but also the studio that made Catan Starfarers, which is an epic science fiction board game that brings the space adventure to life with custom ships, detailed figures, and tense fate-deciding roles that we here in TTRPG land know and love. They have event cards that throw you into thrilling encounters like alien diplomacy or pirate ambushes, and seriously, Starfarers is perfect for adding a role-playing twist to every game you play. If you have what it takes to journey into the unknown, you can gather your crew and conquer the stars with Catan Starfarers by using the code Join the Party for a 10% discount before they're all gone. Starfarers does legitimately sell out, so please go to catanstudio.com and see if it is there. If not, buy something else. They're so nice and so good to make a discount code just for you. The code again, Join the Party, the website catanstudio.com. And now, back to the conversation pit. Now, this could be a very good time or a very bad time to ask the following conversation pit question from Sharp Snooter, which is, what were your favorite books as kids, and what was the most recent book you read and loved? I'm a librarian, so being nosy about people's reading choices is basically my job. And this
nice.
reminds me, or it reminded me of this question, because I loved Roald Dahl, author of Matilda and the Witches and James and the Giant Peach and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. People don't know about that one.
That was really
I was
good
going to
as
say to
well.
Brandon, I was like, there is actually a sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I didn't want to be like that.
And I have almost an entire collection. I also had some short story collections for adults that I, again, read as a child because I didn't have a lot of supervision. And so, there's some like disturbing stuff in there. The drawings are like etched on my mind as, like that era of my childhood. So I very much enjoyed reading those books and lots of other like fantasy collections, but just like the sense memory of like those, 20 very skinny books lined up on my shelf, all in matching, bindings. They're one of the few books I've kept from childhood to like have in a future library.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the question was, what was our favorite in childhood and what's ours today? Sorry,
Favorite books as kids and a recent book that you read and loved.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Well, as a kid, I was a voracious reader. So I went to like I'm going to say normal. I don't mean this derogatory. I went to a normal school for first and second grade, or maybe just first grade, before I went to like the magnet school. And
When
so
Where they were like, this
superpowers.
child is too smart. Get him out of here.
I'm too gifted and too talented.
And your superpowers developed.
And my
Yeah.
superpowers developed. Yes, I like that one better.
And Charles Xavier
Pencil
came for
filings
you.
kept sticking to you. You're like,
Yeah.
But my teacher would literally just give me the work for the day and in a little packet and be like, here you go, because I'd finish it in 20 minutes, and then I would go to the library. So in first grade, did you guys have Accelerated Reader, AR?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
for
Something
anyone
like
who's
that.
for anyone who's not from the US or didn't have it, you would read a book and then there'd be a little quiz on a computer and you'd get points for every book you read, and then you could trade in your points for like, erasers and the shit. But our school, I'm sure probably most schools had like a contest to see who could get the most points. We had a wall where it was like, you're in the 100-point club, the 200-point club, the 300-point club, or whatever it is. And then all the way at the bottom right, there was like the Brandon Club, which was like a bazillion points.
Brandon donated $10 million to
They named the library after him.
this synagogue.
I was in first grade and I had the most points out of anyone in the school. I
Wow.
got a signed, I still have it somewhere, a signed football from the, 98 Cowboys.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
you know the gift the kid that read the most books won? Signed football.
Listen,
That's
Julia, some
true,
people like
Julia.
sports and reading, and their names are Eric Silvers.
I know. I'm just teasing.
But yeah, it has like Aikman and Emmitt Smith and stuff on it. But
That's crazy, Brandon. You have a signed 90s Cowboys football. Julia, you have to understand. This is like Brandon
Do I?
got a football from the Justice League signed for
Okay.
kids in the 90s and in Texas.
Sure.
yeah,
Wow.
yep.
That's crazy.
But anyway, point being, my favorite books back then were a lot of things, but I think my favorites were probably the Magic Treehouse
Good ones.
Oh, yeah.
series
Good stuff.
of books. I think I read them all. I loved Goosebumps. I love like the Redwall series.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that come to mind. But I did like to read, and now barely read ever.
You read lots of manuals and lots of web pages and lots of articles.
I think about how a lot of the stuff we do is reading, just not in a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Multiple
Yeah.
times a week, we look at an email together and go, now what the hell could this mean? That is simply critical reading.
I do read like news and other types of articles every day. There's a great website called The Conversation, The Conversation. I was almost at the conversation pit, but the conversation that has a lot of like articles from academics, like professors or whatever who work and then write articles for this that are really fun that I read a lot. So
yeah,
that's sick.
I was also, just because Brandon reminded me, I was also a big Magic Tree House kid. I was also a big Goosebumps kid. I was a Warrior Cats girly pop, because of course I was. And then I think that like when you first asked the question, the book series that I thought of immediately was a series called Bloody Jack. It's about a girl that gets orphaned on the streets of London and then cuts all of her hair off and poses as a boy to get on a like British warship, and then all of the things that happen to her after that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude.
And it really like formed a lot of my feelings about like gender. And I was like, okay, yeah,
The sea,
that's fine.
piracy.
Sea and piracy and stuff like that. And then I am a pretty voracious reader nowadays. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that like I got more into ebooks than I used to be as a person. Like I feel like I was definitely like a snobby hipster being like, oh, I only read like hardcovers, and like, you know, that's just annoying to carry around, you know, when you want to go to the beach and stuff like that. And also when you want to read in the middle of the night because you can't fall asleep. So definitely read a lot of ebooks nowadays, though. My current read is a hardcover book because I got intimidated when I opened the ebook and saw it had 900 pages. I was like, I actually think I need to read this, like, you know, physically. So,
and then you picked it up and went, oh,
yeah. And I was like, oh, that's a thick boy. That's a thick boy. I'm trying to think of like a book that I really enjoyed recently. There was a really good kind of like gothic kind of low fantasy style book that I really liked, and I'm gonna forget. It's called A Study in Drowning, and I thought it was very interesting and very cool. It's kind of like vaguely British folklore, but in like set in an alternate universe sort of thing. And it's about a girl who really wants to study literature, but the only school she can get into is an architecture school because of sexism. And she decides she gets in.
Wait.
Yeah.
Women are allowed to draw buildings, but nothing else?
Yes, because this is a like fantasy world where like writing is like, they believe that when writers die, they become saints that protect the country.
Oh, that's cool.
Sure.
Cool.
Okay.
They call them the sleeping authors. And so the most recent sleeping author is one that this girl is like really obsessed with. And then they put out a call for someone to read, like basically fix his decrepit house in the countryside.
Sure.
And so
Ideal.
she manages to get it and like has to solve a mystery around it. And it was a very satisfying ending. So I very much enjoyed it.
That's a cool premise. I like that.
That's cool.
A Study in Drowning. I'll say the title again so people can look it up.
How about you, honey?
Oh, man. Yeah, I also read a lot as a kid. I once got lunch detention in 4th grade for reading, and then I ended up reading the entire time.
In detention?
Yeah.
My mom brings that up a lot. Fuck you, Mr. Deaver. Definitely listening to this podcast. So yeah, I also don't read that much anymore. I feel like I should, because I was just thinking about this because I finished the last 2 volumes of Delicious in Dungeon. I have all of them, and I just read all of them. I needed to bring myself to read them. I don't know why, but like the screen of my phone broke, so I had to like just wait around for 30 minutes. So I just brought the 2 copies with me when sat in a bagel shop and just read them. It was really good. It was
Did you get
really
your phone fixed at a bagel shop?
No, there was a bagel shop was next to the place where my phone was.
Oh, okay.
He just went next door, Brandon. Come on.
Brandon, I can't go into an Apple store, so I'll go anywhere if they'll fix my phone.
True.
You can't go into an Apple store, so you went into a bagel store.
Exactly.
Yes, it's next in the alphabet. So I did that and I read it and it was great. I'm like, I should read books more. Actually, Julia, I feel like I want to read paper books more now and not have it on my phone. Amanda's shown me Libby for such a long time, and I've had the app, but it's just like, I don't like reading on my phone. I don't like reading long things on my phone. I'm just like, I'm just going to keep scrolling. And I don't want a Kindle because I think it's lame. So I feel like I got to bring back books like that. But
I'm with you on that. Yeah.
So, and I have books too. I just didn't read them. I have a bunch of books that I just haven't picked up, and I feel like I need to like get more stories back into my body, more full completed projects, and not just like tweets. Blue skies. Yeah. Especially now that Blue Sky is just turning into Twitter again. I'm like, oh, this is just where you all put your Trump anxiety. Like, I need something else. I need other stuff. And I'm getting a lot of like my news and basketball analysis from podcasts, so I need like other stuff. So I think I got to bring more books back. Book that I read a lot as a kid. I think I read The Phantom Toll Booth like 50 times.
Aw,
definitely. Cute. I have other ones, and I kind of got into more stuff that I read all the time when I was in high school. Like, I think I've read Love is a Mixtape by Rob Sheffield probably 20 times as well. And some Michael Chabon books I read a cajillion times. Yeah.
Did your mom give you like more quote unquote literary books than average because she was an English major, like person who loved reading?
Yeah, I think I read The Great Gatsby very early. That was my mom's favorite book, and it's my favorite of the canon for sure. Also,
it's my
it's
favorite
short
too.
Aww.
The Great Gatsby's good. You should reread it now. It's so resonant right now. Everyone go read The Great Gatsby. It's 150 pages. It has never been more resonant right now than it is the most adult you've ever been, but also the more into the future we go, the more like, you know from the beginning that the main antagonist is a guy who believes in phrenology. At a dinner party with a guy he doesn't know, he brings up this new book he read about how white people are better than other people. Like, go just read it right now. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's so great. I realized I didn't say my newer book. I read like dozens of romance books every month on my phone. It's really nice when I'm just like chilling on the couch or trying to fall asleep or on the subway or whatever. But I recently read and recommended on Spirits, if anyone listens to that podcast, this book.
I don't know that show.
Lavender House by Lev A.C. Rosen. It's like a historical mystery set in like 1950s San Francisco and the sort of like underground queer community. And there's sort of like a cop that is basically, the premise is like the cop was caught cruising, kicked out of the police force, and then like has to come to terms with the fact that, he was a cop and didn't really stand up for the people in his community that were around him. Now that by force, he has to like lean on that community for support. And so it sounds like a bummer, but it's really good. And it's like great prose. It's got a great mystery. It has a really fun cast of characters. I feel complex about like historical queer stuff because often, obviously, sad, but sometimes really lovely and heartwarming, and like, oh no, there have been people existing and making lives for themselves in whatever ways they can forever. And so this author, Lev A.C. Rosen, has a number of books in that series.
I spoke over your title. Say the title one more time for people.
Lavender House by Lev A.C. Rosen.
Love it.
Amanda, I've got a romance novel recommendation for you that came from Maggie Takuta Hall, who we had as a guest on Spirits. It's called Under Lock and Key, but like lock, like the waterway in Scotland.
Ooh.
And don't read anything about it. Just go into it.
You got it.
Because it takes a turn.
Julia, if this is the one about Wordle, you have to tell us.
It's not Wordle. It's not Wordle.
Dude, for a minute there, every romance book I got press releases about featured a podcaster, and I was like, no.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
Can I ask a question in Amanda's romance book corner?
Sure.
Brandon, can you play the theme song for it?
Oh yeah, it goes like,
yeah.
It's a book and there's sexy people in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's time for Amanda's corner.
Nailed it.
They're gonna kiss.
Yeah.
So is there like a Netflixification of romance books right now? Because I feel like Hallmark bringing up what Julia said before, like Hallmark movies and the Netflix simulacrum of Hallmark movies. People have admitted to themselves more that they actually like them and want some level of quality even in the so bad it's good genre.
Yes.
Similarly, romance books in a different way. I would say more and more people are admitting to themselves they like it and want higher quality of that, or at least things that are a little more niche or a little more realistic instead of the bodice ripper. So many the classically associated with that.
Yes.
However, I think in both of those, they have dealt with the slop sort of thing where it's just getting churned out as much as possible and trying to be relatively relevant to the current times.
Yes.
I'm thinking about Hot Frosty.
Okay.
Where like Hot Frost, I don't know if it's good, but it sure is something that someone made in 2024.
Yeah.
And it feels similar in romance books to me.
Just also, if you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, check your feed for Spirits podcast tomorrow, because we're doing an episode on Hot Frosty.
I need to tell you all, I've seen so much criticism of Hot Frosty, and your criticism is much better.
Thank you.
Really, just like, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Too seriously.
And good questions.
So many people have had very bad takes about Hot Frosty. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, Eric, I think that's a very apt observation. Something that has definitely happened is romance has historically been for the last, let me say like 80 years of like mainstream publishing of genre fiction, a genre dominated by women, typically women in their 30s and older, and especially around like 40s to 60s, and where there is like some kind of change with perimenopause, then you start reading thrillers only, a thing I look forward to. And so now that millennials are in our 30s and in some cases early 40s, they are rebranding, literally with the illustrations, branding, and how it appears, romance books to look like an inoffensive sort of like, cartoon illustration of like two figures, like, looking playfully at each other across an elevator. And it's like the steamiest, like doesn't tell you anything about the novel. Like you don't want to read this in public. Like, trust me.
Like there have been several people who have been like, I picked up this thing about ice skating because I thought it would be sweet for my 14-year-old who's ice skating.
One. Yes.
And it fucks.
Yeah.
It fucks.
They look like YA books now.
They do look like
YA
books. Yes.
Yeah.
They're trying to appeal to those of us who grew up with YA. YA was new in like 2002.
Oh, the adults who listen, who read YA.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so that's a big part of it. But there have been two other important things. One is called Kindle Unlimited. So we talked about Kindle earlier. You can pay Amazon $10 a month and take out an unlimited number, basically, of ebooks from the like Kindle library. The good ones you have to pay for, the self-published ones you don't, in most cases. And so there is a lot of slop, a lot of just like erotica that people publish because you make cents on the dollar from Amazon if somebody, takes out your book. All of that is perfectly fine. But that has been that was before my time, whenever that program rolled out in like the late 2000s. People were like decrying the end of romance because now you could like publish, the erotica and romance unfiltered. And then lastly, there's also been the rise of like extremely specific, they're marketing the book on TikTok with like 2 images and an X in between.
Sure.
So like how for a startup you would say, oh, it's like the Uber for dogs. Like, again, this thing that comes to mind all the time.
Brandon, write that down. Uber for dogs.
Uber for dogs.
Brandon, write it down. Uber for dogs.
A lot of pressure on authors to both like formulate and sell and market their books with that like very pat formula.
Yeah.
So the rise of at first Bookstagram, where reviewers would like do the same thing, and now book TikTok.
Yeah.
So it's like
is
what, not premise, what do you call them, like a trope, trope kind of thing?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Gotcha.
Which again, been a thing in romance for decades, but not sort of like flashily marketed to millennials in that way. So like there's great stuff. There's more to sift through than ever before. And there is certainly some slop of, people seeing publishers saying, well, romance is hot, write it for millennials and write a watered down version of this other thing that sold because of reasons that they're not actually, grasping.
Sure. Yeah. Like keep in mind that using Hallmark and Netflix as an example, Hallmark puts out 40 Christmas movies every year. 40 new Christmas movies every year.
That's impressive.
You maybe hear about 2 or 3 of them.
Sure.
And that's kind of what like I think romance and publishing and romance is like nowadays, where it's like there's a lot of shit out there. And I mean that both in like terms of quantity and also quality sometimes. But like there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's really just kind of narrowing down and finding like the niche that you're very into. Like Amanda, I think you're more of a modern romance person. I like a historical romance. That's more like my bread and butter. I can't stand when I'm reading a book and they're like talking like a person that I know and like have problems that I think about and like mention podcasts. I'm like, I have to suspend the disbelief somehow. Yeah. So I'm like a fucking Bridgerton, historical romance.
And again, there's been like 5 out of 5 star stuff being churned out by authors like Julia Quinn for like literally 40 years. Like you can read like the Bridgerton. There are like 40 Bridgerton stories by the time you get to like all the universe ones. Yeah, so she's been publishing since the early 90s.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
So, did you read the Wordle romance novel?
No.
Do you remember the summary of the Wordle romance novel?
Did you have to guess the title of it when you picked it up?
That's very funny. Let me see if I can find it.
If I remember correct, I think someone sent us the press release, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was also set in like British Columbia too. So
I think Raltz was the one that was talking about it recently. Yeah. I'll see if I can find what her comments were, but go on.
Yeah, it was like someone's just working, it like has dreams of having a creative job, but has like this regular job in British Columbia, and then they start doing the Wordle, and then she starts doing the Wordle with a guy at her job, and then they fall in love in British Columbia.
Incredible.
Yikes, Rooney.
Glad that we are past the microtrend of podcasters, though, because that was really something for books that were like greenlit in 2019 and then published 2020 and 23.
I found it.
Okay, please.
The title is A 5-Letter Word for Love.
Is the 5-letter word fuck with 2 Ks?
Listen,
2 U's, Brandon.
This person got their book proposal greenlit, and like that's not hard. That's not easy.
Also, their first book.
Yeah,
I want to stress to you that this is not like someone who's been writing romance and they're like, I don't know, give us a Wordle book. No, this was this person's first novel. So,
this is like when I would submit my fan fiction and just Control F for the names and then replace it with original names and then submit it for creative writings class.
Correct. We all did that. It's fine.
Yeah.
A humorous and heartwarming romance in which an unlikely couple fall in love over Wordle. 27-year-old Emily doesn't have a lot going well in her life right now. She dreams of a creative career, but works as a receptionist in an auto shop.
See? Oh, it was an auto shop.
She longs for big city life, but lives in a small town on Prince Edward Island. She craves a close group of friends, but is stuck with irritating car-obsessed coworkers. What Emily does have is a 300-plus day streak on the New York Times Wordle. But one day, with only one guess left and no clue what the answer is, she's forced to turn to one of her irritating car-obsessed coworkers, John, for help. And in doing so, realizes he might not be so irritating after all. As they make their way word by word toward a 365-day streak, Emily is drawn into a surprising romance that will take her outside of her comfort zone and challenge everything she knew about happiness, success, and love.
Do you think she stopped when the New York Times Tech Guild went on strike? Probably not, right?
Absolutely not.
No,
just simply not.
No way.
That streak broke.
I'm
if that's a plot point at the end, that would be incredible. Though.
No, she's
just
Canadian,
saying.
Julia.
Yeah.
They didn't care about the needle during the election.
Did you know there was a Canadian postal strike going on right now?
Oh, yeah.
It's big in like holiday shopping, small business Instagram of like, we cannot ship to Canada right now. Don't be a dick.
We just can't do it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Wow.
Another question for the Times. This one's from Tess. Do you like giving gifts or receiving them more?
Sorry, just snapped my
was
fingers.
So snappy.
That was actually really nicely sound. Like good Foley there.
Thank you. Folks, it's time for Eric Talks About Giving Gifts Corner. If you want a gift from Eric's stuff, he's a good rhymes. This is Eric's stuff. He likes giving gifts.
Wow.
Thank you to the Roots for doing my song.
Thank you.
They gotta get better at rhyming.
No, John Batiste was busy.
They went really far downhill.
Man, I thought you said John Tesh, and I was like, oh.
Basketball, Eric's time. He's gonna give gifts now. I wish I had thought of that. Thank you, Julia. That was great. Folks,
What a great gift
time.
Julia gave you.
It's my favorite time of year where I give gifts to other people. I love giving gifts. It's great. It's a way for me to show that I know how people do stuff. It's a way for me to justify all the time I spend on Instagram. Also the best part about giving gifts is that I start buying stuff like months in advance, so I don't put the pressure on myself to do it. And I think I only kind of backfill it once all the gift guides come out. Like when Helen Rosner puts her gift guides out, then I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going to do for all my food people. Mm-hmm. The other thing, though, is that I'm getting to the point where I know all of this stuff that I'm getting ahead of other gift guides.
Damn.
Like my mom sent me one from like Food and Wine magazine. And I'm like, dog, I own 25 of these already. Like, I'm sorry, Mom. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But no, I love giving gifts. It's the best.
Yeah. I'm also very pro giving gift. I much like food is my love language, I like giving things to people to see how they're going to react to it, and seeing like the delight and joy in someone's face when you give them something that they're like, oh my God, that's crazy. I would have never thought of that. That
like
is
my Auntie Griddle.
Yes. It's a very enjoyable experience, And I also just like the feeling of like, I do a lot of the like holiday markets with like small businesses and stuff around this time of year, and like going and like looking at someone's little booth and being like, this will be perfect for this person is always a delight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll say it. I like getting presents. I especially like getting Prezi No Reasons, one of Eric's patented forms of giving a gift, as just a little thing that made him think of me or his friends, and then gets it for no reason. I feel some pressure as a recipient around like my birthday or a gift giving holiday. Like it's my worst case scenario to like open gifts a la a bridal shower or something, and be like, oh no, I don't want this. But I have gotten far more into giving gifts, starting from when I like moved out of the house and had siblings that were still at home, and like got my sibling CC tickets to see Hair with me on Broadway. That was the first thing where I was like, I can save at that time $45 to get us to like back of the orchestra tickets for Hair. And they were like, what? Like we're doing this? Like it just felt like an incredible way to, like you said, Eric, like show someone that you would do something, especially something they wouldn't do for themselves, whether it's like a nicer version of something that they would buy or just like a sentimental thing or a commissioned thing. All of that is very cool.
Yeah. I think my issue, expounding on that a little bit, Amanda, I think my issue in receiving gifts is I'm the kind of person that if I really want something, I will just buy it for myself. Or like if I want something and I haven't bought it yet, it's because it's too expensive. And then I feel like a terrible human being if someone else gets it for me.
Sure.
Because I'm like, how dare you spend a ton of money on me? I'm gonna like just go hide in a cave somewhere now. But
in a cave?
In a cave. A sea cave, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, I just
Julia and the barnacles. The barnacles will never get you a gift.
Just me and the crabs just hanging out. But like there's just something about like when receiving a gift, I'm like, okay, this is either something I never thought I would want, and now I'm like, am I actually excited about it, or is it like a thing where it's like, how dare you be so thoughtful in giving me a gift that I wouldn't buy myself?
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't think I deserve it, why did you think I deserve it? That kind of thing.
That's real.
Think you're better than me?
You think
you're better than me?
You can buy the thing that I was too expensive to get for myself?
I have very complicated feelings about gifts on both sides. On the giving side, I stress out about it a lot because growing up, it wasn't like a competition in any way, but like our focus was always on coming up with the most like creative and like thoughtful gift amongst the siblings, like amongst our siblings. Like we always would sort of quote unquote compete to get the best gift. Not explicitly, of course, but and my brother is just like 100 million times more creative than both me and my sister. So like we always lost, and we still do continue to this day.
Except
and now
when you ask Eric for help and then you do a very cool present.
I mean, it's always great, but unfortunately, Seth is better than you.
That's not true. I just have not revealed my true power.
You've not gone hand to hand.
Yeah, that's true. But also now Seth is 30 years into his career, so he has a lot more money than I do.
True.
So that's also part of the problem now. So it's difficult to give gifts. I've started now taking a line from the Eric Silver playbook, and instead of focusing on Christmas, I do Prezi No Reasons more frequently now. So like I got my sister a couple gifts this year throughout the year because there's like no pressure and like no one's expecting it. I don't need
The bar is 0.
Yeah, the bar is 0, and so it's much better. And on the giving gift side or the getting gift sides, obviously I like getting stuff. I'm a consumer. I love stuff. But it's so stressful to me. It makes me so anxious to have to perform emotions in any way. Even when I, which is most frequently, even when I genuinely think the gift is amazing and I love it and like it's such a great one, like it's so anxiety inducing to be like, I have to show the right amount of excitement or whatever. Like it's just so stressful for me.
Yeah.
So I am not a big gift person. Like me and Lauren don't do gifts for each other because we both think it's just so stressful.
Meanwhile, I'm like, that's crazy. That's fucking nuts.
I mean, like we'll do
What are you
Prezi No
talking
Reasons.
Yeah.
But Prezi No Reasons is different than like mandated gift giving
I
time.
need to tell all the Christians out there, all the Christmas celebrating people, Prezi No Reasons will do the one thing that will fix your Christmas, which is not pinning every emotional moment, especially with family, on one holiday where you see each other for 3 hours.
Yes, I agree.
God,
Yeah.
Now that I am integrated into Christmas traditions, it stresses me out. I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree, and it's been a wonderful gift that I've given myself. I've been thinking about they won't listen to this, so they won't know. I've been thinking about starting International Siblings Day, which I know is a fake holiday, but starting International Siblings Day as being like a thing because we don't give each other sibling gifts during Christmas either. But I know my siblings best. I give the best gifts to them. So I've been thinking about giving my siblings gift on International Siblings Day as a tradition. Sorry.
Brandon, that's so funny because you're going to prank them by making them feel bad by not getting it to you for the first year. Brandon, that's awesome.
Yeah.
They're never going to be able to come back from that. So they buy you something extravagant in year 2, and then you bought them, and then you made them something homemade and thoughtful. And then they're like, fuck, I did it again.
And then on the 3rd year, I sacrificed my life for them.
Exactly. Jump in front of a train.
Now they can't beat it. Now they can't beat it.
Brandon, I totally see where you're coming from. The thing is that my brother and my parents are bad at giving gifts. So like I'm the only one who's good at it.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like I'm playing with myself. I'm playing ping pong against the half of the ping pong table that's flipped up, you know?
Just fold it up.
Yeah, it's like
Play
it's
against
me.
yourself.
I'm the Tom Hanks as the guy from the thing. I'm Forrest Gumping it myself. Yeah. I'm Castawaying myself.
You're in love with the beach ball?
Yeah, exactly. But that's unrelated to presents. So it's like, yeah, I'm just doing it to do it at this point. But I get where you're coming from.
Fair. Cool.
Sure.
Cool.
And final question prompt here, because I think a lot of us are probably going to have some celebration meals over the next few days, or maybe because you have some time off of work, you have some extra time to make stuff. Tess wanted to know about the best cake or cupcake you have ever had, or best dessert if you dislike cake and or cupcakes. I'll go first because I had a chance to prepare for this, which is from there's like a local bakery chain in Brooklyn called Ovenly. There's a location right next to the office. When Brandon, Eric, and I went to see the office for the first time, we met there, and the barista was like, oh, 10% off, you need this office because you need to be here. And we were like, okay. And then she was right. It was incredible. And they did during COVID like a cake of the month club that we sent to Eric's mom's house when we were finally able to see her for the first time post lockdown. And it was
Thanksgiving.
Exactly. And it was a carrot cake with a lemon curd like layered in with the frosting. And now carrot cake's her favorite cake. That's why we were excited for it. But like that lemon curd, y'all, like it brought out all the fruitiness of like the raisins and the actual carrots. The cream cheese frosting was so good, but like not that rich. And the cake was packed like no one's business. Like it arrived and Eric's mom was like, okay, it's gonna be like crushed in a box. But no, it was like a space age delivery. It was amazing. Cool.
That's very cool.
That
That's
cake
awesome.
was sick.
So that's the thing that like I can't recreate it. I had no expectations and it was so good. And even Eric's mom, who doesn't like love dessert and doesn't like sugar, was like, this is so good.
Yeah. I am in the same boat as Rita in that I am not a huge sweets person.
I literally don't understand people that say that.
I'm not. I don't like it. It makes my like mouth itch, you know? Like I like immediately need water the minute I take like a bite of something sweet. You know
those people that look, I respect you and I love you and I wouldn't change you, but you know those people that say like they don't like music? It's like that to me.
That's different. It's different. I
know
don't
it is. I know it is, but it is different. I agree with you, but the incongruity in my head is the same.
Yeah.
I agree with Julia more than I do Brandon, if only because Brandon, Americans love sweets so much, especially with like the new Mormon soda culture thing that's been going on, and like with the dirty sodas. Like, I don't get it. I don't like sugar as much as America does. I do love desserts, but not. I think there's something inherently wrong with me that I don't have like a Diet Coke addiction.
Well, soda's not a dessert, so I know it is, but like it's not. So like
overall,
I don't think
like,
that.
I'm saying sweets
Right.
in general. I think that there's a sweetness thing that I don't understand.
So I think that like the ideal dessert then is kind of like a savory sweet combo. I also would order a cheese plate as dessert, but I'm me, so that makes sense. But I think if like, and my issue as well with like I like a pie because there is a savory sweet element there. I don't like cake and I don't really like cupcakes, if only because one, frosting and icing is almost always way too sweet for me. Like it like coats my mouth and I just hate it. And also almost every single cake I've ever eaten in my entire life has been too dry. The two things that I would say that are like the better options for me if I'm going to say I'm going to have a cake or a cupcake. I had a incredible tres leche cake with strawberries at a friend of mine's wedding, and it was the first time I've like liked a wedding cake, which is wild to me. And then I also am a big fan of like citrus forward olive oil cakes, like lemon rosemary olive oil cake. I'll fuck that shit up whenever, because it's just not as sweet as it could be. So
yeah.
For those of you watching the video, I think you can see the moment where I thought this, but when Julia said that, I'm just me, I will order a cheese plate. Yeah. I imagine Julia then saying, I'm 40% ricotta.
Yeah.
Regat.
Yeah.
Right?
Regat.
Oh.
It's pretty good.
I learned that was a specifically American, like New Jersey, Italian-American, New Jersey, New York, Italian-American accent thing. It's not from Italy.
It is,
anyway.
but it's also kind of Sicilian and
well, that's where
where
it came
Italian.
from. Yeah. But like, it's not. Yeah, it's like a uniquely American accent, which is interesting.
I didn't realize that no one knew what gabagool was outside of New Jersey for a long time.
I still think that's made up.
It's not made up.
It's not.
It's made up in that a group of people made it up.
But it's a known phenomenon.
Yeah, but it's real. Yeah.
All right, standout desserts. Who else?
I love desserts. I agree with y'all in that, like, I want my desserts to be desserts. Like, I love savory food, like crazy. But like, when it's dessert time, I want a dessert. I love ice cream. I love cookies. Cookies are my favorite food, favorite food group. For cakes, I'm not the biggest cake fan, but I do like cake. The best cake I've probably had.
Well, no, then tell us the best cookie.
Yeah.
Well, the best.
I mean,
cookie,
I also want to hear the cake part, but
yeah. Well, the best cake, I don't have a great answer. My best answer, and the one that sticks in my head, is because I made it for Lauren, and she said it was the best cake she's ever had.
Aww.
Which, you know, she loves me, so I don't know, whatever. But like, it was a Texas sheet cake from Serious Eats, which is like a chocolate cake with like a chocolate fudge frosting.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like I'd hate it. Go on.
With pecans on top as well.
Ooh, nice.
But try it. Go try it. It's really, really good. But favorite cookie, I mean, my favorite cookies I always say are, and don't go get them because they suck now, but for Milk Bar, the recipe, blueberry cream cookie and the corn cookie are my two favorite cookies.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that because we got free ones for some reason, and we gave all of them to you when you were still living in New York.
Yeah.
I remember that.
They
I
used
made
to
those
be really
corn
good.
cookies last year, Brandon.
Oh, right. They
were
sponsored
awesome.
Spirits in like 2018.
Oh, yeah, they did. That was
Yeah.
wild.
In many ways, that was our peak. I'm not gonna lie to you.
When you were sponsored by Mrs. Fields.
We got like Mrs. Fields, Assassin's Creed, and Milk Bar in the same year, and I was like,
It was a good year.
roll it up, folks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. For me, we were just talking about this. I was ranking my favorite desserts, and on top is soft serve ice cream, my friends. I love soft serve so much. I love any soft serve. I don't even want to rank it necessarily. There are places I like places that have really good frozen yogurt, only because I love the tang. So I want to shout out Marvell, which is in Long Island, that I've been to with Amanda. That place was really good. We went to a really great place in Philadelphia called 1-900 Ice Cream. That place was great.
That's a good name.
And had really, really good soft serve. It was a cheesecake strawberry swirl, and the cheesecake one was like very, very tangy, which I loved.
That's nice.
But if I'm going to shout out two, one ice cream and one piece of cake. The ice cream is cake related. Folks, I had a yellow cake ice cream that was so good, it made yellow cake my favorite cake.
Wow. Damn.
It was from the Screen Door, which is in Greenpoint. I had it a few summers ago. It was so good. Just the yellow cake ice cream and then so much fudge in it. It was just absolutely incredible. And then Amanda, for my birthday, made me duck egg yellow cake with homemade chocolate espresso frosting.
Hell yeah, dude.
I told these guys about that, and I was like, just you wait.
Just you wait.
That sounds good.
He liked
yeah.
it. I was prepared for him to be like, that's sweet. Nothing's different, but it was good.
Hell yeah, dog.
It was so good. I loved it so much. I want to give a special shout out to in Amsterdam. We went, Amanda and I went to an Australian place that was only open for breakfast and lunch, and we got there at like 2:15.
Yeah.
And we got this chocolate peanut butter banana cake that they had that I still think about.
We just like panic ordered something because they were like currently rolling up the restaurant.
They were like, we're sorry.
Very closing.
We don't live here. It's so cold.
It was so cold. We needed somewhere to warm up like urgently.
It was during the polar vortex.
Yes. So
and
we just
did not have the right jackets.
No.
Shit.
And so we just like panic ordered a piece of cake, and it was like early on in hanging out, and now you would be like, classic Amanda wants to order a piece of cake, but then
no, I would have ordered it. It was incredible.
But it was so good.
It was classic Amanda because we were there for Euro VidCon.
Yep.
I have very important, not to change the subject slightly, but I have very important news for Eric that I need to share.
Please.
Right now, live on the podcast.
I found a Lelo Muso ice cream machine used for a third of the price.
Oh, you
and
buy
it's
it?
not the 4080, it's the 5030. It's a big boy.
Oh.
I'm going to buy it today.
I mean, if you have a place to
Yay.
put it, just buy it. Yeah. Those
yeah.
appliances are so good. I think the biggest thing, because Brandon and I talk about making ice cream all the time. I told Brandon this, but I finally made my first ice cream, like high-level ice cream. I made pumpkin pie ice cream for Thanksgiving, and I used xanthan gum and all that stuff, and it came out so good. I'm so happy with it. The difference between the frozen bowl stuff that you might know for making ice cream and like the ones that have the compressor in it it's such a jump in technology that getting like the high-end stuff like you're getting must give it another jump forward.
I'm excited to try it.
It's going to be
Yeah,
so
dude.
We'll see.
Incredible. Well, thank you all for gathering on this wonderful Kirmbis Eve, where there are little pitters-patters of hooves overhead saying, "What is the matter?" It's the gift of the conversation, and we've given it to you today. And thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you, Join the Party listeners, for listening. And we're excited to bring you another hot and fresh combo pit next week, followed by the end of the campaign. Woo! Not immediately. There's like a few, but like, damn, it's gonna be great. Don't worry.
There's at least enough to get to 69.
The last arc.
No,
No.
we're not doing
No.
this, Brandon. I'm going to tell you right now, there will be 68 episodes of this campaign. I do not want to get to 69. I refuse.
The last one might
Can it
be
be
3 hours
68
long.
and an epilogue.
Maybe. I will not write the number 69 in any form.
But we'll all know.
We'll all know. And that's all she wrote, folks. Say farewell to our audience.
Oh.
Later.
I have a little question.
Oh.
I have a little question.
Bye, everyone.